And that's like the city council liaison to the downtown business alliance.
Devin Career, Jessica Conlon, co-working. Dan Keyport, and Jessica Vico, and I'm president of the Downtown Business Alliance. Steve Curtis, president of the Southwest Metro Chamber of Commerce.
And Jones copy.
Julie Sturban, city staff.
Krista Mark, city communications. And then.
Yeah. While they're going, I'm Jen Angel, the administrator for the Downtown Business Alliance.
You're here, it's a bad.
First, the late one. Then we grow.
Okay, we have two more chairs up here.
Yeah.
So, Mike Max, Staley.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Mel, Mel's on the Zoom.
Yes. Mel Carlson, Nicolay Bank, Jessica and Chanhassen, treasurer of the Downtown Business Alliance.
It's great turnout today. I need a motion to adopt the agenda and approve the minutes.
I'll move.
Okay, move, and second? Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Jen, real quick, treasurer's report.
Yep, I made some notes on there since the bulk of today was, is Max's. But we paid out the bulk of the events for Q4. So obviously we had a successful Halloween event. Hey, I've been back at work for 2 weeks and I've not been this slow. And I do want to kind of get some feedback from those of you that were part of it to see how you felt that it went. But being around downtown that day, it felt like we had a lot of people out and about, which is the goal of it. We also paid the bulk of Hometown Holiday. So you remember that's our biggest expense from an event perspective, because it's like $4 grand for the carriages alone. Plus there's music and there's all the other aspects that go into it. The only piece that we haven't paid for that at this point is the music, I think. And the maps. So you'll remember we do maps for Halloween, and then we also do them for Small Business Saturday and Hometown Holiday, and we also do the coloring piece. That part to Wagner hasn't been paid either. And then the largest outstanding piece that we have is the gift with purchase. We talked about that last month, and I made an executive decision because I wanted to get them ordered so we had them in time, and I went with the least expensive version. I figured if there's a year that we want to carry money over into next year, it's this year, because we know that we're going to have expenses next year that we're technically unbudgeted, right? Because we're using Orange Ball, and wow, that's something we weren't planning on doing, and it's working. I've got some data today that I can share, or I'm going to send to you and you can share.
Yeah.
So I went with the like the $2.40 one, but we've got a nice chunk of the silver Christmas trees with a brand new picture of the gazebo on them. So I think that'll work really well for this year. And it was really affordable. And then next year, I'd like us to kind of branch out and try some of the different things that we were talking this year, talk to Threadtastic, some other local businesses, and see what else we can do that's just a little bit different. I did have a good idea that was also cheap. So I went ahead and added that to it because we were under budget. And that was, and don't laugh when I say this, but everybody loves chip clips. So I did an order of chip clips that was branded with our website on it. So there'll be 2 options then for the businesses, because it felt weird to just have the ornament. Like not everybody's going to want an ornament, and like there's something else. And it also puts it like, I think that's a cool thing for like size or any of the restaurants. Like it's a little bit more. So I feel like we've got a diverse gift with purchase this year. But that expense has not come in. Line item, I think we have that budgeted at like $6 grand, and it'll be right about 5, I think. So we should be a little under that, which was my goal in trying to do everything, is just to keep us with maybe a little bit of rollover. The piece that we haven't talked about, from the 100 Club perspective, which I'll just throw it out now because we're kind of here for the most part. We had talked about not incurring the expense to light Fireman's Park, the white twinkle lights. We were able to get the cost of that cut just about in half. We took it down from 10 grand to 6, I think was the final quote. And we supported a more local business in doing so. So that's really great. If you're looking for painting or light hanging, Bill's Painting is the place to go. He's a member at Guardian Angels and actually runs the sausage, what's it called? Sausage.
Beef and sausage.
Beef and sausage, yeah.
Pancake breakfast, which is on Sunday, fish products, but Bill and his son Bill, father, son, they're in the East. That paint, that's the.
Yeah, and they're up now, so,
I think
yes. Do you feel like you missed a tree? Okay,
that's what, compared to last year, because I'm from.
let me know which ones and I'll reach out to them.
It seems like they did.
Okay.
I didn't think they were.
But I think what we had hoped to do was to get that reduced, not only to save the 100 Club some money so we could buy more decorations over there, but also to withdraw that expense from us, knowing that we're trying to do more with the same budget. And I think we're good with that. So, yep, same price for 3 years. So that expense will not be a part of ours, and that was a $5,000 expense. So I think you'll see that roll over as well. So I feel as we start to talk about what 2026 looks like and Max's presentation that we're in a pretty good spot. I'll have the final carryover at the December meeting for us to approve and then take to council. Yeah.
So no man.
No bags. Yep.
So just the chip.
Yep. And we got a lot of them. So that was one thing that we had feedback on before, is that like having 10 of something isn't great. I think I have 50 ornaments per, a lot of this depends on how many businesses. I did 1,000 ornaments and I did 1,000 chip clips, I believe. So there's bulk, which I think is a lot more fun than, I mean, limited edition sounds cool, but we can still say that. It just means that there's more to go around, which, yeah.
I did find it the fact that they're 12 months. We get some. They weren't sealed.
Yes.
So some of them were. Because they can use.
Okay, that's good feedback. I mean, yep. I think,
What do you think?
Well, I think last conversation.
yeah,
Expressions, you guys give about 60% of them, so be it if you get them all, people. To me. Just part of our brand. Just to give it out, and so if I don't give out any, and you give out, you said 60%.
Did it weed in anything?
But the ornaments.
yeah, I think the ornaments and the chip clips feel like that's something anyone like can participate in, whether it's retail, service, or restaurants. Like it just feels, yes.
Too big or too small.
Yeah, I do think if we talk bags again, that makes sense. All right. That's budget update. And we're gonna talk more about budget at kind of at the tail end of Max's presentation too, so we're not done there.
ET.
Yeah, let's quickly hit trick or treat, because I don't want to lose the feedback, because that's how we keep making the events better, is like what, for those of you that participated, what worked, what didn't work? Did you feel like we had enough people out there?
Think. Still, when we were going, yeah. Where'd you get that? So somewhere, somehow, still again, you know, they're out there, but people like hard tangible.
Yep.
I think it's great. Plus treats. I wish that we can't require people at some businesses, they're present.
Yeah,
That's kind of lost. I just think that would show their storefront, just grab out of the bowl. I think they miss an opportunity for even like doggy dips, you go in and you're like, oh, even though you don't have time to ask a kind of question, give them some exposure, but that I think that's for those people. Most of Second Street. Linda's was a bowl, Lynn Lounge was a bowl, Doggy Dips was a bowl, Higher Place was a bowl. You just go, you just show up and most of them are empty too. You just don't get that engagement.
well, and I think that's feedback. This was the first year that I noticed that when bowls were out, that people were over helping themselves. Because like I put out the Riddle Bowl and it was empty when I went back to size at 4. So
You're not.
I know we had a lot of people out, but I don't know that, I mean, that bowl had probably 12 to 1,400 different things in it. And there were a lot of people out, but in 2 hours, I don't think we went through that much. And so that's something that we can share, I think, with the businesses, that you really do want to be present and man the process, so that you're a face and a representation of your business, and B, you're also getting the bang for the buck for the candy you bought. Yeah. So
It's an idea.
I think that's a great idea, and I think it also piggybacks to what we talked about last meeting around interns for both social media and maybe events. I think it's worth me reaching out to Chaska, probably Chaska High School, and connecting with their DECA and even Southwest Christian, and seeing if there is that opportunity for those individuals who are interested in businesses to pool their names, and then when we do events, for them to earn some community service time, and maybe even picking an event and or business that they're interested in. So I think that's a great idea, and I think it also might be a 2-for-1 for us in solving some of the.
Athletes, so many volunteer hours too.
Who?
Like the Chaska Hawks Club.
Oh, yeah, that's another one. So yeah, I think it's a great way for us to, I think, continue to build community, and it helps solve a couple problems. So Carrie's great point.
Oh, excuse me. Speaking as like somebody that attended it before joining the meetings, it would have been nice to maybe have like the park that's in between the church and on Hanson's. I call it the Pavilion Park. I can't remember its name, but like even that, like if a business isn't like in attendance, maybe having that general area be like a place that's a bit more walkable. Because like just with a young kid, it got a little stressful with the 41. And having crops and things like that would have been nice to let them kind of roam a little bit.
I think, so this was the second year that Mikasa was in the park, and I had another business that was looking for space downtown that asked to set up down here, and I told them the park was an option, because I think you're right, like having some continuity between everything that's happening here and everything that's happening there feels good. This was an unbudgeted expense, but I think to your point, I hired Kids Dance to be in the park. To again, just try to get that continuity between all the different places people were walking. And I think it worked, but I think, again, to your point, that's an option too, is we can use the park as places for businesses and or organizations that want some visibility. And I thought it was really cool that Mikasa did it, and maybe reaching out to some of the other organizations that support like Southern Valley and Bountiful Basket and like, and using that as a hub too.
Are you also saying it was stressful to cross Chestnut? With
Yeah.
kids?
Yeah, like I had our stroller, but like
Yeah.
even some of the families that were walking around.
I wonder if you're gonna get volunteers from high schoolers, they can cross with us for like such a kids focused event like that.
That's, yeah, yep, I think that's another great idea for the, like.
And
the
then they're
volunteer
like
aspect.
and then they're ambassadors.
Yep.
Oh, so.
When we did volunteers a long time ago when we did the big Second Street thing. And they had downtown Chaska t-shirts on, and that worked really well, so I think maybe coming back to that, we haven't needed it because because the events are fairly manageable, but I think now we're getting to a point where free help is
Yeah.
good.
We use second, fourth and then.
Okay,
and got the lights.
I did see a lot of people in the tunnel,
Yeah.
which is good. I mean,
That's
that's
there.
what it's there for.
But we can have some meetings in those.
Wonder if it's do an activation in the tunnel, try and drive people and then cross to them through the tunnel. So something, you know, there's specific
In that
area sort of
space.
sits there. It's a spot that you stop on your way through.
Well, that's where.
So I thought about like, when we did the Second Street things, we hired like Spider-Man and Batman and stuff. That could be like,
Could be that case.
yeah, yeah.
That'd be
that would
nice.
be- That would,
That way you don't. Crossing the street.
yeah, because there's a reason to go down there.
Hmm.
All right, I like it.
The activation on Porter, I think people are gonna, that's great, if they go through the tunnel, people are gonna go, right? So, what's interesting about activating my fourth and second with something bigger and bolder, whether it be people, teachers, that is a huge advertisement for anyone. To see that there's a lot going on downtown, so if it was intended to be off or guards, maybe they're in costume. maybe-
Yeah, the
that
dance
come
team.
through. Yeah, they're gonna be like, what is going on? Just for the kids. It's just, that's also free advertising.
Yep.
For people.
All right, I'm gonna, because I wanna get to Max.
Yeah.
I know Mel does not wanna hear that we're tabling the discussion of the other account for another month, but I think it makes sense because we've got some things to talk through there. And we did promise we'd make the decision by the end of the year, and we got another month. So let's give-
Well,
let's give-
can we make just a couple minutes and updates from the city? Because that's not always an important part of the meeting. Just the highlights, so. Mhm.
We did have the other morning tour, so that was good, they asked really good questions. This group was, I think, really engaged. And so it felt good, it seemed like was a good turnout. So I think we had some good momentum there. I don't know if there's been any feedback from our lobbyists or anything. Okay. But it was great, and I think this group was more engaged than the other group. And so, yeah, hopeful. But I think that was the big thing, was the bonding tour.
Is this for the bank building across the street?
Yeah, so that for that whole block, City Square blocks, yeah,
So that's getting more.
Yeah.
retention. You got any questions?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was, a big thing that's happened.
Any updates on the timeline? for-
Well, I talked to the owners, we're actually gonna go visit them, they just opened a week ago,
Yeah.
the one in Richfield, they're gonna give us a tour of that one. They plan to start for next year on the construction.
Oh, so it's not gonna.
It's not gonna-
Okay, well, that's.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one, that one's larger than this one, so still planning to work on.
And if you want to get an idea, I think was it CTO or Channel 5 did the news story on it. So you can go see what he did.
The setup is supposed to be very similar.
Elise, is that what you'd recommend searching for that TV story?
And then in the
Yeah.
summer newsletter, I can business newsletter.
Yeah, that would be a good update, I think, to send out again, because we did the initial announcement. But I think,
Now that they've opened.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what was is that delayed? Cooper's is delayed?
Yes.
yes, the 2026 now.
Okay, not off the table, but just delayed?
No, just delayed, because they were opening their Richfield store.
Yep, I also saw that news story. That was pretty cool.
So that's stop with snow is what you're saying. The other developments?
I think just to be aware, the council will come back in their December work, I think it is, work session. And take a look at, I'm sorry, it's December 1st. Work session, they'll be looking at City Hall Plaza, some concepts for that. We're speeding that up. We're gonna be redoing that next year as additional space. Actually, and talk about some of these spaces today, so that's key, that's moving forward.
And then Nate's gonna come here. In the summer. When you have plans to show. Get more in.
And traffic light open.
Good stuff.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. Okay, good, well,
Great.
on to Max. Thank
Well,
you.
thanks so much for having me back. How much time do you go to 8:30 or 9?
9.
9, okay. So we have two parts to this time with you all today. The first is to go through an overview of the downtown activation plan, which has been completed, presented to the city, also as was designed, already being implemented by you all and the city and other partners. And so it's just going through some of those, the high level recommendations, going deeper in any of those that you like. And then the second part is doing a rapid fire sort of strategic planning exercise with you all, thinking about what you all would like to collectively focus on for next year, what are your priorities, and to kind of guide Jen and everyone else collectively on what you want to do together. So, sound good? All right. We need to go over, we're a placemaking activation firm, and we integrate all the different features that go into creating a great place. So the project goals, just to reground ourselves, understand the narrative and most important unmet needs of residents, visitors, and existing businesses. Create a 1-year action plan to best enhance the downtown through small scale changes in physical realm, events, marketing, and operations by both the city and its partners, first and foremost, you all, CDBA, and then craft a vision for potential work plan for any expanded work through the assessment district. The context that we came into and that we in our assessment was the business climate, the assets here is like high occupancy, low vacancy. There's a challenge of a narrative here that was struggling, which I think has probably already shifted a significant amount since we started our work with you all here. In events, there was a robust calendar of events. There was some feedback that the impact on the vitality of downtown was limited, especially for the things happening in Fireman's Park, where a lot of the city-led events were happening. Access, very walkable, Main Street becoming ever more bikeable. Challenges, some key destinations are cut off from each other from the county roads in particular. All the construction that was happening, that's already improved during our time working together as well. For public spaces, there's several high quality public spaces, but a lot of them lacked some daily activity drivers to make them really bustle on a day-to-day basis and be a greater amenity for visitors and also to the businesses. And then capacity, highly collaborative organizations all want to work together on common cause, but there's limited operational capacity, which we'll kind of dive into on the back half of this presentation.
Find low vacancy is, what is low vacancy? Meaning someone owns the building?
Oh, no, there's lots of generally the spaces that are here. I guess high occupancy.
Does
low-
that include businesses, buildings that are owned but not?
Yeah, this is about operating businesses and spaces. So I mean, all the buildings are owned, but like, is there a vacancy? Are the ground level spaces being occupied and used?
I feel like available is a better term. There's so much of-
Yeah, there's a lot of dark doors.
They're being used inside.
There's no signage on the door, there's. Anything? I just wasn't sure if they included those or.
Well, that would be considered like a big, I mean, like if it's truly empty space and no one's using it, then that's a vacant space. My sense was that like, there's some maybe high visibility vacancies, but the general downtown is a pretty high occupancy rate. There's not a lot of empty spaces that are sitting dormant. And if they are, it's maybe for non-economic reasons. It's because maybe those landlords are just checked out rather than it's like, oh, we can't lease the space because there's not interest here.
I think back to 2008, and it was a lot of spaces compared to today. It's a completely different.
I know we have 3 vacant commercial spaces in our building. That's like separate from me.
Yeah.
Not the commercial. Yeah.
So, we already went through some of the engagements, several months ago, kind of after this happened, but, key takeaway from the 1,000+ people that responded to the survey, there's lots of interest in downtown. And at that point, this was again, 4 or 5 months ago, there's kind of a mixed narrative around what the story people were telling themselves and others about downtown Chaska. Some people half had positive, half had negative, sort of narratives, and about a third of the people had both mixed sort of positive and negative, sentiment about downtown. Key takeaway, the favorite thing for people to do in downtown, they go out of their way to visit for public space things and food and restaurants. What do people want to be able to do here? There was a strong desire for quality food, beverage, and shops. Were far and away the strongest desires for what they wanted to do in downtown. And then what gets in the way? There was the real and perceived experience of getting to and around downtown. And I think this has already been mitigated a bit as there's been additional wayfinding signage for some of the new parking lots that opened up as part of the Panaway. But again, I think one of the real and perceived here is I think important because I think that because there's been, as you all of course know, with the construction that's happened in the different areas, there can be a perception that it's difficult, but doing things to get people down here again, more and more and getting them familiar with the new parking availability, the parking options will have the perception match the reality that is pretty easy to get down here. There are lots of parking spaces. And so through marketing and events and other communications, getting that perception to match the reality is the challenge, but the reality is not too bad. Though there's still issues with like pedestrian traffic crossing Chaska Boulevard. I'm flying through this a little bit because we talked about many months ago, but I'm happy to dive in more about any one of these. Would you like me to, any other specific questions about this? Any of these? As you remember, we did a little facilitated workshop with you all as well. The strengths that you all identified that support your businesses, walkability, destination restaurants, city and alliance events, visibility being downtown in the public spaces. Highest priority, things to add in downtown that would support your businesses that are actionable in the short term, or gathering spaces and additional destination restaurants and shops. Also talking about the adding back a grocery store and more housing, which are more long-term
long-term efforts with the grocery store, as we just talked about, coming in 2026. So, moving into the recommendations, one of our methods is to think about personas to solve for, so different types of like people, socio-demographic characteristics to kind of get in the mind of these types of folks. And then what do they want to be able to do? What are their pain points? And then how do we solve for that in a given space or in downtown Chaska? This is what I just said. So it focuses us on creating experiences. So the personas that kind of important that we identified, which the plan goes in more detail, and I can go through individual slides if you like about each one. But families with kids, because they're always looking for something to do. They're open to new experiences. Their habits aren't necessarily fully set. If you create things for kids to do, the parents will follow, and then parents are likely to come back when they don't have their kids necessarily and do other sort of commercial and social activity. 2 dog owners, especially for empty nesters and younger people without kids, their dogs kind of are their kids. And so if you can think about experiences that cater to dogs, you're going to capture visits and experiences with those folks. And again, spread word of mouth, encourage repeat visits that when they don't have their dog, but it's a growing trend of people guiding what their, especially leisure choices are based on what they can do with their pets. 3 design conscious customers is building off of your existing cluster of sort of thrift and vintage and specialty goods. There's an opportunity to just build off of that, and people are looking for, this customer base is looking for lots of different options to come in and patronize many different these types of businesses in a single experience. And it's also then creates spillover benefits for the other retailers and shops and services here for when those customers are coming down here. And then 4 is just the Latino community. There's an existing, as you all know, cluster of Latino population, Latino serving businesses. They're of course valued members of the community, but there's an opportunity, I think, to like have greater synergy between the Latino community and businesses and the other businesses here, and creating it as just another interesting thing for all types of visitors to downtown to be able to know about and patronize as like this kind of like subcluster of businesses, and then also just like integrating the Latino community into the other non-Latino owned businesses as well. Any questions about those? Okay, so some of the strategies. Going back to sort of our general approach is, you know, there's a great experience, a thriving place is because of like the physical elements of that space, the operations and governance of that space, and the events, activities, and uses of those spaces. Now, those always exist, but the key is to try to create the synergies between these 3 elements. And in particular, as it pertains to commercial districts, thinking about how do we create reoccurring habits? And how do we get people to not to just come down here once for an event, but utilizing those events and other experiences to come back and get used to coming down here on a regular basis. Forming habits, recurring habits of visitation and patronage and use is really where the value comes in for you all as businesses, getting repeat customers, repeat exposure. It creates stronger opportunities for word of mouth for those repeat customers, and that creates value for you all, businesses, property owners alike. It also, that repetition is also what just creates social cohesion and community. So if we're thinking that we're not just, of course, we want to support business and economic activity, we also want to create community. Those habits and routines are what supports both like the social formation of relationships and business vitality. And so within that, we think about sort of a hierarchy of events and habits. We want to prioritize creating great daily occurrences. So whenever you show up to a given place, whenever you show up to downtown Chaska, if there's lots of things to do. It's a consistently pleasant experience. And then once you have that in place, then you can start doing other events, like the weekly series and happenings, specials, seasonal celebration. Because then, once the daily experience is really good, you can have those special events, people get exposed to what's here all the time, and then you're able to leverage those bigger events much more effectively to be able to like attract them back when there's not a big event happening or there's not a weekly series. So that's sort of the cycle that you want to get into, and how this also relates to marketing, which we'll get into a little bit later, but seeing events as a great excuse to do marketing, especially now that you've got a really robust social media and marketing partner, you're able to leverage your events much more. So it's like, people are interested in what's happening here all the time, but they're especially interested in the special stuff that's happening. So the events serve not only as a way to attract people to downtown, but it's the best marketing fodder, it's the best social media fodder. And so it gives you an excuse to just amplify your marketing message as well, which creates more visitation both to the events and on an everyday basis. Vision for downtown Chaska is a social center for both the city and Carver County through a mix of thriving businesses, community uses, and enjoyable public spaces. And that vision comes to life through 5 different strategic focus areas. The report goes into each one of these in many pages of detail, which we can go more into if you'd like. But we'll go over just kind of a high level strategy for each and then how it relates to the CBDA. So the vision, a diverse business ecosystem that provides mutual benefits and serves both residents and destination visitors. Key actions that we recommended were defining a comprehensive process between all partners to enhance the desirability and ease of opening a new business in downtown by creating a property information, highlighting the available spaces with amenable landlords that are actually trying to release their spaces. 2, develop a comprehensive pitch package to give to those that approach any partner. We realized that the best advocates and of recruiting new businesses here are you all as business owners and managers. Of course, Jen and folks at the city can do this as well, but you all are probably much more networked into other business owners. And so creating material that you all can distribute, and then when there's an interested party, can funnel them into Jen, Julie, Elise, others at the city to help usher them through the process of making it easy to open up. And then with all that, a priority focus on attracting additional fine dining and unique retail here, matching the desires both of what the residents and visitors are saying, and also you all as business owners, as those are the businesses that people want to go to and provide the most spillover benefits to everyone else. So how it relates to you all, explicit business recruitment efforts are mostly done by the city and sort of the distributed network of business owners and others. There has been money in in past work plans for business recruitment efforts within the Alliance. We felt that time is better used put into marketing events, which we'll get into. For events, vision for the events that they create exceptional experiences while maximizing spillover benefits to downtown businesses. Key actions recommending is through the city and CBDA launch regular event series in City Hall Plaza, which I know was already piloted this past year. And in other downtown locations, such as the Paseos. 2, recommend programming includes things like weekly concert series, vintage markets, which ties into your existing cluster of specialty retail, family story times, and other seasonal celebrations. And 3, create formal strategies for each event to benefit downtown merchants. And this pertains, obviously, your own events are geared towards that. The conversation you just had prior to my presentation is just getting at that, evaluating every event you're doing, thinking about how you can be more strategic, what's working, what's not, but also then integrating that more into the city events, especially those that happen at Fireman's Park. How can there be little elements in there that can benefit downtown? One of the ones I recommended to them was for Latino Fest to have like a taco tour that would, you can still have a big event in Fireman's, but how do you create a tour of all the different Latino food establishments in the rest of downtown to get people walking and patronizing the rest of the property. So how this relates to the Alliance, create stronger return on investment through investments in marketing to drive attendance and using events as marketing fodder, which is what I was just speaking to. Two, explore and expand the sort of event series concept, which you already had piloted this past August and September, but you got your kind of tentpole larger events. Create some more of those like smaller scale, weekly reoccurring events in the heart of downtown. And which I found is a strong use of funds and time, and really leans into that habitual building of habits of the patrons. And then three, like the hub and spoke model akin to what you do at Halloween for other large events. So if you're having people kind of tour throughout, patronizing different businesses, like a hub for them to go to like get their map, get oriented, you know, have it for Halloween, have a space for kids to kind of run around more loosely, etc. But having a home base for people to anchor to, and then supporting them in their travels throughout the downtown. Stop me anytime here. Marketing and communications, the vision, downtown Chaska is recognized locally and regionally as an attractive destination. Key recommendations that you all hire a dedicated marketing capacity, complete. You relaunch your monthly facing newsletter, complete. 3, develop an annual thematic calendar, also complete. And then 4, refresh your website in order to prioritize visitor interests, businesses, events, and parking information. So right now, the website is sort of has on equal footing information for you all as members versus what is like sort of customer and visitor facing. And so I'm recommending still having that business member information on there, but just put it more in the background of a tab and really put at the forefront the things that most new visitors are interested in, which is what's here, what businesses are here, what events are happening, and how do I get there, and sort of marketing and access. How it relates to you all, very much so. Build on early proof of concept of the success of your third-party marketing provider to level up the impact of all your activities. And then I think as it gets into business recruitment, your consumer-facing marketing and social media is one of your best business recruitment strategies as well, because that's going to be reaching interested businesses that you know and don't know of at all. And that's just creating greater confidence and awareness that downtown Chaska is a great place to operate your business. Jen, do you want to share any of the data right now?
Yeah, I sent it to you if you want to pull it up too. Oh,
Bear with me as you see my screen here.
all right, that first slide really just talks about, once we made the decision to do this, we had to build the brand guide. We had to put like the guardrails in place for everything that we wanted to accomplish. We had to have a media calendar, which we had already had, but it needed to be much more in depth if we were going to do 8 posts a month. We also needed to clean up our Facebook and Instagram platforms. That way they were ready for kind of this influx of traffic, and that also worked. And then we made the decision consistently to cross post in the local Facebook groups. We had only been doing it off and on for really big things. Now all of the content that we put out there is cross posted into some of our favorite places like Real Life in Chaska. The next slide talks about our top performing posts. Hold on, somebody's eyes are not as they used to be. Jones Coffee got beat out. Oh no, it didn't. Reach is still 16.5. But our Chaska Thai post most recently had a reach of 15.5K. More likes and reactions to that post. There was a lot of excitement about that restaurant opening. I think you'll notice in some of these posts that definitely the grand opening piece generates a lot of buzz. One of the things that is happening though that did not happen before, and I'll talk about this in another second, is the likes, reactions, comments, and shares. When we used to put stuff out there, it just fell flat and nothing happened with it. The more those likes, reactions, comments, and shares happen, the more our content is organically put in front of people. And that was never happening before. And so we don't have to spend as much money boosting things. And you'll notice that that's another piece of the budget that we're going to get back. because it's just naturally happening because we have good content out there consistently.
So you're suggesting that as members of the Downtown Business Alliance, we should like share.
Yes. Yes, and you know, we haven't talked about that in a couple years, but yeah, when you see our content out there, the only time that I would encourage you not to is if it's a sponsored post, because when you engage with a sponsored post, then we're paying for that. So engage with these organic posts that we are putting out there, and that helps spread their reach too.
Don't do it all in one city and don't go.
So for Facebook, we had steady overall growth and consistent engagement. Our views increased 2.5% over last year, and our reach grew 2.1%. And that is about 208,000 of an increase in views and 53,000 in an increase in reach. So what this shows is that our audience is not only stable, but it's expanding, which is something that we wanted to do. Our engagement metrics for our content interactions are up 1.3 thousand, or up 1.1%, meaning again, people aren't just scrolling past what we're putting out there. They're interested in it and they are engaging, commenting, or sharing it. We have videos out there. Before we didn't have videos. That 3-second views are up 92% and 1-minute views doubled, up 100%. So people are not only watching it, but they're staying on it and finishing it. Watch time jumped 178%, meaning that what we're putting out there, people are interested in it. Especially the reels that we're doing, which was something we weren't doing before. So it's a whole new avenue of content that we have access to. Ad views increased 100%, so 56,000 people viewed them, and organic views grew 1.8%, 151,000. Again, that suggests both paid and organic strategies are supporting each other effectively, likely through a little bit about what Max just mentioned, that brand reinforcement. So even though we are still spending a little bit, like we boost the Halloween event and we'll boost Hometown Holiday, that smaller spend is also helping what's being put out there every week. I won't go through the graphs, but I'll talk briefly on Instagram and then I'll turn it back over to Max. Because
it's interesting, like, when did you engage or involve?
Yep. We were a flatline. Oh, we should have covered this one, because we've talked about this before. That our reach is predominantly Chaska, but it is also the surrounding community. And so that's important because if you remember back when we did the mailers to try and engage the surrounding community, and they were a huge expense. It was like a $10,000 expense to get one mailer out once into those communities. And we can do it easily with social media. And the women love us.
And women make all the decisions. So
Yes.
that's good. Make all the first.
So the Instagram is interesting because we didn't do a lot with Instagram, because really to be successful on there, right, you've got to have good picture content and you've got to have video content. And so we didn't have a lot going on there. If you look at our page, it's pretty much every time we host an event, the event image would be out there. So this is a whole new area for us. So our reach jumped 461%. So that new content that we're showing is being shown to new audiences and we are getting more followers in. This kind of growth often signals successful hashtag use, consistent posting, and improved engagement like likes and shares. So again, it's working. Our visibility and discoverability are trending upwards, which again is awareness of the brand and growth. Nearly all the views, 17, almost 18,000, are organic, meaning again, we're not paying for those people to engage with the content. Content interactions rose 1.4%. So more people are seeing our posts, not scrolling past it, which is the most important thing. If we're going to pay somebody to do posts, we need them to actually stop and be visible. Grammarly's in my way. Yep. And so you can again see the spikes where we were previously flatlined and now we have pretty consistent engagement across the board. And very similar to Facebook, we have a large following in Chaska, but we are also spreading out into other communities as well.
You know, when you're running your ads, are you targeting them at females or are you choosing just a neutral across.
So when I pay something, I focus more on the reach of it, like the location, than I do female versus male. So I target it from early 20s to 65, I think, with the idea of what Max had mentioned with families. Like I'm trying to get anybody in there that has a dog and is walking, has kids and is out, but I don't, it's not primarily targeted at females. All right, I'll give it back to you.
Okay, any questions on that from?
I can also give you, while we're on this, the latest on the monthly newsletter. So our November newsletter just went out this week with a ton of great content in it. And we had 853 sent out. So we added, I think, 58 individuals. We did a post this, it was last week, that said, sign up for the newsletter. And I think we'll do that periodically to try and get new individuals in. So we sent 853. We had an open rate of 59.6. If you remember, that's pretty consistent with where we are. We're upper 50s, low 60s most times. Let's see, what were they clicking into? Give you an idea. They clicked into, so I had linked Size, Chaskatai, and Lynn Lauman, and that was our predominant click-throughs. We also had individuals clicking into to sign up for the newsletter, so they could be forwarded and then clicked in. That was 15% of the clicks was that piece.
Great.
Can I make a comment? So, I would maybe like make a suggestion to like not forget about like the traditional marketing methods, because we have multiple senior buildings like a block away from here. And a lot of the really great things that you guys have been doing, I didn't know about until I went to Hayloft and Sarah told me in person. So like the Halloween trick or treating, the SIP Saturdays. And there's a lot of people with families local that are like coming and visiting my building. Like I can't speak for the Landings, but I can at least speak for my building, and we have 104 units. There's also quite a bit of like, I think only 10% of our residents actually use the online portal. So like you're completely missing the local people around here. So like, even I've been doing, clearly I wasn't connected before meeting Sarah and doing the Southwest Chamber, but I've been doing like our community event calendar plus the local event calendar for like 7 months since I've been here. So when I do tours as well, I'm not only like selling apartments, but I'm selling the downtown Shasta. So like, even giving me marketing materials or anything like a map with all the businesses and something like that, or adding in like a newsletter or something, because our tours, I think we have like 500 different prospects in 2025. Plus like, I know some of our feedback with some of the businesses is that the prices can maybe be a little high for like regular visits. So, like maybe if there was a like, oh, you live in the downtown area, like even the residential buildings or something like that, like you get a in-town price or something like that, or in-town discount or membership. Because I know the average age, I think in Chaska is like 38, but there's a lot of people around here that have family in Carver County. But a lot of our tours are also coming from like Shakopee, New Prague, Jordan, where this feels very similar, but it's a very developing area that like when they come here, that'll help like get some more attendance and what do you call it? Engagement. Thank you.
Great.
I think the take home message is not to rely solely or heavily on digital. And we found that with the trick or treating, people are looking for maps. So even though it's not day one or something.
Yeah, I've never been to Carver
I think
County.
that's what you're.
Yeah.
That's
I had no idea what it was until I got that map, like, I went to so many different other places from that map, yeah.
You mentioned, the creation of kind of a welcome packet or something that here's Chaska. Did you say that?
Yeah, for, particularly for, potential businesses wanting to operate here, but yeah, absolutely, you could do you could do a visitor focused one too.
Well, I'm thinking a little bit about this creating a history to inform businesses on history, also to inform residents on.
Yeah,
So when we talk with Libby and talk to this idea of whether it be goes into the hands of people who are selling real estate or.
Yeah.
I have people come in who say, "Can I get a-" they have people. So I think I continuously hear customers talk about their remorse around the check. Quickly ask then, how do you get your information? Because as much as I understand that, you have to get your information. So if it's not gonna be that paper, then if you want paper, then where would you go?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day. But I don't think it's the rate.
yeah,
And so I think even if it's a. Naturally, that not only stand it out, to try and shift that narrative, for people who are down on that. As soon as you start talking about what's going on, the first thing I hear is, I guess it.
Yeah.
It's because they stop getting information because that.
yeah.
And then you just move on to another.
Yeah. Well, I think all this is really great, I mean, so that I'm almost not, almost done with this part, and then I'd like to spend the last half hour with facilitating, speaking with you all, thinking about your priorities, and what you want to get done collectively in 2026. So having these things, helping you all figure out what rises to the top, what do you want to spend the Alliance resources on, time, money, etc. Does that sound good? Physical realm, a lot of this was related to the city utilizing City Hall Plaza, more, with the redesign happening. Developing some riverfront activation, pilots. I think there's a lot of opportunity to try to reconnect with the river more and seeing that more of an amenity. And then improving the pedestrian safety on the Paseo, to just make it as pleasant and as safe of a walking point, pathway as possible. One idea here for the access and transportation, so for access and transportation, safe, enjoyable, and clear journeys for all visitors regardless of the transportation mode. Install simple parking wayfinding systems, which has since gone in. Create protective measures for pedestrians crossing major roads, especially Chaska Boulevard. Chestnut has gotten better since it's been open. Formalizing this idea of a downtown trail loop, I think there's an opportunity to create like a 2.5 mile loop that could be a real destination for fitness and enthusiasts and just pedestrians in general. It gets that it's linking up mostly already existing off street trails. There's a little bit more on street over here, but I think formalizing it, branding it to be a real amenity that draws people here. And focusing on enhancing the competitive advantage of the walkability, first and foremost. The built environment, recommendations here, develop a parklet policy for semi-permanent restaurant patios. Hopkins is a really great model where they allow, they actually put the patio on the sidewalk and they move the sidewalk out into the parking spot. So just allowing, especially for like on 2nd Street, more space for that outdoor dining. They create a permission plan that defines what the city and businesses can do in the public realm as of right and what they need a permit for, just to make it more clear and simple. In some, downtown Chaska has strong assets, momentum, I think in every of those strategic verticals. Relatively small actions across each category can have exponential impact when they're tied together. And I think long-term success will depend on consistent capacity, continual discernment about what's working and what's not, trial, error, evaluation, and investing in those things. So, the last part is getting into the organization capacity side through the Alliance. So I think there's great collaboration here. Some of the challenges that the Alliance budget's been unchanged for 5.5 years, which has been kind of like an implicit reduction due to inflation, especially after the last couple of years. And I think that with your current resources, you're maximizing a lot of what you have here. I think that there's opportunity for growth at the margins through your existing capacity, but I think it's gonna be hard to kind of level up with what the amount of resources you. Currently, what you do is self-produced events, you help shape city events, your marketing we went through, and then the integration and administration, partnerships, tying together businesses with the marketing events, strategic guidance, city partnerships and advocacy, and then the general admin. I think the existing budget, you can kind of keep your current events calendar. It's going to be difficult to add new events or series with your current budget. Marketing, I think from talking with Jen, you'll be able to continue with the Orange Ball in the next year, do your monthly newsletter, but it'll be difficult to make any big updates to your website or to do any additional sort of like intentional PR or other ad spend there. Certainly other, adding back your bags and keeping other swag and things like that is going to be difficult to do all those things. And then it just, limited staff time with Jen and with what you're able to support, which there's a lot of time for partnerships and integration, but again, just not a ton. There's only so much that she can do with the time she's got available. So I went through just a scenario. I'm not recommending you necessarily increase your assessment, but I went through just a hypothetical thought experiment of if you increase your budget from $58,000 to $80,000, what would this mean for you all as businesses? So 83% of properties would have an annual increase of their assessment of less than $600. And then everything you see that these are like the number of properties. I try to capture this in the easiest way, but I don't know if this works. But these are the number of properties that would have like a larger assessment. So you've got lots of properties that would have an assessment under $150, and then 10 would have an assessment of 300, 450, 600, etc. But these big ones over here are all multi-tenant buildings or banks. So no single business would see an increase of $1,200. It would be 4 or 5 businesses there that would see an increase in their assessment if these tax assessment rates are passed on to the tenant. So as a hypothetical, if you would to get $22,000 extra dollars, you would think about an increase of annual expenses of around between $150 and $500 to your business. What would that mean? What would be worth? And so what we're going to move into now is what would be valuable? Could there be anything of value of a potential increase in budget, and or what do you want to reprioritize with your existing resources? So I guess before we move into that, any questions or discussion, or should we just jump straight into this part, the facilitation? Did you have a question? No? Okay. First, I'm going to hand these out real quick and put them and share them a little bit. Do people need pens or markers or anything? You got them? First, again, for thinking, when we did this, talking about downtown Chaska in general, this question is, for the activities of what activities of the Alliance, like for the Alliance meaningfully enhance the business success for your business? So what is the Alliance doing right now that's most important for the success of your business? And we're just going to document strengths here, like what's really good happening here that we want to honor, we want to preserve, we want to enhance. Write down 1 to 3.
I feel like I should leave the room.
We'll just we've got 20 minutes, so we're going to take 1 minute for this. I'm going to set a timer. to hold up your hand and I'll come take your post-it. We're gonna do more of these though, so keep your pads in front of you. Others? Great. All right, so some of the answers. Downtown seasonal events, monthly meetings with new people, regular meetings and information flow. Communication between the city and the businesses. Good events, especially if you know about them. Larger events, the Ryder Cup events. Creating opportunities for businesses to engage with people. The scheduled events, Halloween promotion, driving traffic to downtown Chaska, social media presence, social communications, awareness and networking, events to draw people here, special events, newsletters, downtown diversity, networking opportunities, promotion, and highlight new businesses. Okay, great. Glad to know. So those are the things that are anchoring us. We know the Alliance is doing well. We want to build off that. Now, what is missing about the Alliance? Do we want to be able to, what do we want to have the Alliance and you all together be able to do more of? What's not there that you'd like to have more happening? Not what's wrong, but like, what do we want to have occur in 2026 through the Alliance as an organization that is currently not happening or not happening enough? Not a judgment on what's happening now. We know that the natural constraints and lots of good, and we're building up all these strengths that are here. Common to have more of these than the other things we like, so that's. And then what we're gonna do after this is create some themes. And then prioritize, you all deciding what seems to be the most important themes to work on. And prioritize. awareness of group networking, motion of group, vision, mission, core values. Two, more, and speak to this more in more detail, these were yours and one. More scheduled events, use of, different areas of the downtown, target different groups, dog owners, families, holidays. More participation and engagement of businesses and owners. Networking opportunities.
So is that, they want,
Directory
they
of all
want the,
downtown businesses.
sorry, so.
Yeah.
They want the alliance to create. Like networking opportunities, how does that engage your business? Like, I guess I'm confused at what the purpose of the alliance is, like, who do they wanna network with, other businesses downtown, or do they?
Well, yeah, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna,
Yeah.
we're gonna go through this and then see there's some themes, and then you all are gonna. Discern what feels like the most important things to work. What are the 2 or 3 things that are most important to kind of focus new energy and thinking on into 2026. And so if networking comes out and you all decide collectively that that's a priority, we'll define that, and then you can have the conversation. If you have time, we'll do it this morning. If not, you can have it in future meetings. What does it look like to have more meaningful networking? So just, let's see, promotion, not to be limited, to exclusive few businesses. Print materials, in the past, may have done that, so maybe you're equitable or, dispersed marketing. Long-term planning, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, more foot traffic, additional high energy business, owners who are engaged. Further engagement and participation in actionable items, thoughts and ideas on how best to leverage each other to create common progress and success, and more tenacity for promoting progress in business. So I'm hearing that there's the themes here. What are the themes? There's something around networking and connection. That feel right? And then there's something around, promotion. Events.
A lot of creating engagement, getting more participation from the owners and members.
Nuance here, or things or other things that come to mind now that we talked about these.
As far as the promotion, do you guys do like an alliance spotlight or member spotlight, like promoting each other's like social media and things like that? I'm so new to this, that's why I'm asking.
That's a great question, and I want to just pause on that so we can focus on just getting the sort of the broader direction. Is that okay? And then we can address that afterwards.
Yeah, I was just saying like a little sub note to promotion.
Yeah.
That might be what people are saying.
So I guess, I think it would be interesting, like, what would success look like for each one of these? If we were successful, and I think that there's 4 things here, I don't know, we need to prioritize of them, because I think it's a manageable amount of things to work on, but if you were really successful in having more connection amongst your fellow business owners, how would we know we were successful?
I think there needs to be a sense of the purpose. So if you're. They're really tough on. That's the real thing. I mean, that is reality. It's not for me, it's not all that. But there should be. I'll say. I think a little bit of Not that it's an exclusive club so much as you're going to be discounting growing. With those who.
Yeah, with that, we all have a shared, vision of wanting to make downtown Chaska like the most vibrant, awesome place that people from around the Twin Cities or even beyond want to come, kind of like I think it's Stillwater, like people we drive 45 minutes to walk down the streets of Stillwater. That's what we want to drive people to downtown Chaska. So if we aren't all engaged, you know, we're missing that. Then we're the only ones, we can complain about other X, Y, or Z not doing what they want to do, but if we're not engaged as business owners or building owners, then we're part of the problem. So we can't put fingers on people.
Like Sarah said, promote the benefit and the value of it. And Dan and I have been around this long enough. It has nothing to do with time or day. Remember when we used to meet Tuesday over at Rick's building? We met at Side, we had different days, different times, and some people just go, it doesn't matter. Oh, that's too early in the morning. We used to meet after lunch. Oh, that's me. If the desires are there. They'll make.
Is meeting participation at this meeting the best indicator of engagement?
Yeah,
Like, are there others? Yeah.
well, 2 years ago, we had 8 people show. Look at how many are here now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was a good,
you know, there was a long time there when it was really just the board and we were lucky to get a forum. And now we have.
But there's still too many responses where. What's the downtown line? I've never heard of that. Just, there's too many of those people that have no clue. That's why. Just awareness.
Yeah.
What our group is.
and it's not a voluntary group that you're part of, you're all like mandated to be a part of this with the district, right? You're already paying taxes regardless, so it's like, why not use it, that's like.
That's more of the special students. So there's a difference. Well, people don't know about it,
Right? Yeah.
but no one, we're just charging for responsibilities. But most of those things, the 100 Club, I'm going on, people. Never heard of it, know anything about it. So whatever that is get the things that are in downtown. Yeah, it's just foot traffic, foot soldiers, that's why I find it.
So is there any other in terms of like networking connections? You've got business attendance, these are the general things you want to create, and then this is a measurable way of tracking this, is like how many businesses are attending these monthly meetings. Is there another measurable thing, you know, at the end of the year, at the end of 2026, we can be like, we saw attendance go up, is there another measurable thing that we have to do?
Quarterly, but the problem is the same thing, is it's, I hosted countless times, Coopers provided food, you provided beverage. Who wants to do the next one?
Where we had great success on those social events and when there were controversial issues.
Construction.
Yeah.
Road construction or something.
Well, yeah.
Do more road construction, we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's how I know how things are going. Like, if we do a Halloween event and we've got 7 businesses and last year we had 20, then this year we had more businesses. So,
That can be something you can track, and then maybe another one would be like, you're sharing things, and maybe reshare things on social. Someone posts your tags on the tags to downtown.
we are not currently doing that,
Okay,
because that's what we had been doing
yeah,
only, and so we're really focused on just pushing out new content, but I think we can come back to that in later time.
so if you're like number of like, or what would be another, like businesses sending you things to be in the newsletter? Or would that be another potential one? or-
Yeah, I think. I think, well.
Let's do that, all right, we got like 10 more minutes, let's do promotion. How would we know if we were really successful in 2026 in enhancing the visibility, attractiveness, awareness of downtown Chaska? How would we know?
I think visible partnership. I think about, like, when I look across the road, know some of you better than others. If I knew what your goals were here, what you were shooting for, who you're going at. Whether you're talking about other businesses or literally partnering with other businesses. we offered a residential cookie for
Yeah.
partnering with Kenton Sip and Shop. We're getting a lot of good feedback from customers saying, I love it.
So like cross promotions,
It's cross promotion and it's durable, it's written. It's perceived alignment
Collaboration.
and collaboration that drives affinity.
how would we know, like, so we cross, like, number of cross promotions could be something we could know that was happening. How else would we like know that there's like a synergy was happening?
Yeah, the more the community we know, more people from outside the community. I don't know, you guys all track, anybody track that, like zip codes where people are from, is there a way to capture that easily?
You all track, does the city get Placer AI data?
So
Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's very expensive, yeah. What else about like the promotional, so it's about, so we capture something around like business to business, is there other things around like other marketing efforts? That would know, we would know, you all would know we were successful at the end of the year. If. X.
Maybe it'd be like one of the conversations with people that size, you know, whether they're. Or whether they, the number of people I talk to them, like, what is Sip and Shop? What is,
Yeah.
what is happening, which obviously it's the first year, so it's
Yeah.
a new kind of foreign thing to people. But the, at least for me, the conversations of people knowing what are happening, it seems pretty limited.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got, you can see with the overall, you're gonna have social growth, the newsletter is something I feel like that is really about business participants. Like, if businesses are pushing the newsletter, that'll be a strong indicator. I mean, anyone on your newsletter, you're owning that list, you're not like subject to any like algorithm changes. I mean, you do want growth in your social, but in terms of like you all as business owners, the city, I think you probably have the most influence on your newsletter growth. If everyone was like buying into pushing that, as like, where do I go? The newspaper's not here. Well, this newsletter is like a great opportunity, great alternative to that. Does that feel accurate?
I think so, I think that's an opportunity right now, because we're not, you all aren't put in a position, I think, to easily share the newsletter. That's something I can give you, because the link to post on your own.
Right.
socials.
QR code, we put it on sale.
Yeah, yeah,
Or on our, you find on your.
yes, that, I can,
Okay,
so I think that's not.
let's do events next. How would you know you're successful in 2026 around like events? That attract people down here and contribute to business.
Traffic. In the building.
Foot traffic inside into the building.
All the parking lots are full.
Yeah. I think businesses, you already said like businesses participating in events. Did we already have it?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just putting bowls of candy out, they're actually there.
And I think,
You are the ambassador for your business, but you're also the ambassador for downtown Chaska. When you are present and talking and sharing, like that's. It's important as our social and our newsletters and
yeah,
That human connection still ranks up more than a social media post.
the word of mouth.
Yeah, the human connection,
Yes, yep. How could we capture that? How do we know we were making it? Not everything is quantifiable, yeah, we don't need to convert everything into a widget. Yeah. Okay, and I think the networking connection and participation engagement, those are kind of like the same. As I'm looking at that now, did we capture anything like from that note around participation engagement? Did we think we captured the essence of that goal here?
I think the only thing I'd add to that, we talked a little bit about it last time, is it's meeting participation and event participation. It's the collaboration between two businesses. It's looping someone in, and like, Carrie's a great example of that. Like, she got out on Second Street and asked some of the other businesses that were doing Halloween, here's the information on Halloween, do it. It'll be great, and like that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, the next step for this, it's 9 o'clock. We're gonna get you all out of here at the time you need to, but is for you all, as probably at your next meeting or as part of like the executive committee, is taking these goals. You've got your priorities, you've got your measurable measures of success with your, like, create an annual plan for that now. Who does this? What is it? When does it happen? What resources do you need? And I think that helps you discern what you do with, like, you know, current budget, if you are interested in expanding a budget, etc. But now you know where you're going to measure your success, for whatever you do. And then these can serve as your anchors of, like, when you're planning your events, when you're planning your marketing efforts, when you're planning, trying to create business synergies. How are you aligning to achieve these measures of success? And you can revisit them every meeting to guide your conversation.
Do you think one way would be to, I mean, obviously we have the district here, but man, there's some businesses up the hill, there's some businesses down here. If we get them more and get down here as well, to say, hey, we're here in Chaska. And then maybe, wow, have you been downtown? I mean, have some relationships outside of this as well to help draw new businesses, new customers. Is that any part of it, or is it just really?
If you all decide that, I think as long as it's centered on downtown, so I think that there's a cohesiveness to downtown that is important to maintain. And if there's synergies between other commercial districts, that's great, but I think the downtown is a cohesive place that's worth kind of being centered.
One item we discussed in the expansion.
Yeah.
Services.
Yes, yeah, I think that's
Right.
Which is something that's not necessary.
Any other comments on next steps for this you would like to do, that you would like to be able to figure out in the next round, or final thoughts?
Sorry, I don't wanna go off on it, but I get a lot of people talking about this too, and I think it's something about connection to the city. More so to inform. A lot of people ask why we're a river town, but we're a river.
Yeah.
And you hear about Stillwater and Nazi.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, things like that where it would be great to, with, those conversations with the right sound bites. Like, I know it was a floodplain, and you know, you have to deal with.
Yeah.
All those really important things versus. And the DNR, like, there's so much to it that it might just be pick a topic on a given month. You know, look at the history and see just share things over the years, this is what it looked like. So that we just know more about where we are. So when we're talking to people, especially if there's a negative attitude, you can work try to help many people versus. Well,
Yeah.
and I don't know what that looks like or how we fit it in, but I think that it's like to not only share the facts, but also their perspective, which is reality. If it's either in alignment, I'm sure what people want, it's just. But there's something there about information.
And I think to that point, future future meetings, you could focus on that, or like, how do we facilitate more cross promotions over the coming year? How do we grow what's our strategy for growing our newsletter adoption through participating businesses? How do we drive business participation for our events? What are the events that are going to drive foot traffic? How do we adjust our events to do more of that? And, you know, this is the way to organize your thinking around how to do all the activities, and then reveal if, like, you're getting enough for what you got right now, or if it's worth an investment in greater.
Like each meeting has kind of a sound bite that we kind of send out, and then the city can bring, like, because you're right, information is power. And so if you've got the correct information out there, Because I think that's what we've battled through road construction is misinformation out there. And so if we empower you all with the correct information to share that vision or that reason, I think that's.
And the roundabouts we were reading about, I don't know, it wasn't even Chaska, it was the data around roundabouts is so compelling that most people have no clue why cities are. They run everything from car emissions to flow of traffic to less accidents, even though some people don't give them. Total, it's still, they're really, really good. If you look at what
Increase higher sales.
Oh, yeah, we can. So. Thank you. Okay.
Although, please let me know what city you think, and I will reach out.
All right, well, thank you all. I'll hang out if anyone wants to talk about it.
Next month, we're gonna split the meeting. I gotta talk to Nate still and see how long we meet for. 2 days. But Nate will be here to talk about the plan for. So that'll be part of it, and that idea is that. Just take me, and give me here, again. And then the second part of it will dive into this part of the 2020. That's the summary. Before I stop the recording, any questions or anything anybody wants to throw up?
I think the idea of, the newsletter and non-traditional ways of getting it out, like the online is the easiest way. But to what you said, taking it, printing it and taking it somewhere and delivering, or, having a way to have, you print it yourself and distribute it. I think there's some creative ways, and then a lot of the wayfinding signs, if there could be a QR code that people could scan, so then they could get that information when those signs are built so that people know where to go. But there's a lot of, once it sends them to the website that has the most recent newsletter, then they're already inside of our website as compared to having to go to multiple places. But I think that makes sense, since the city just invested so much money in all the signs, little QR codes that direct them to us, but also be smart if the city allows them.
Well, and to your point about printing, like we can definitely take a lot of what we're making and put it in formats that you all can go to Wagner's, like 8.5 by 11 printing is, you can get 1,000 for like $250. Like that's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but like that's another opportunity for counter handouts. And we used to print the downtown Chaska map. So on the website, there's a map of all the businesses. We used to print that and make that available for the businesses. That's an option too that we can talk about if that little piece is there, and we can tie QR codes into that too. I think there's a lot of different.
I just added something here, analog distribution plan. So, and then if the website isn't clear, the track is single point of truth.
And to that open point that we had, we talked about this a few meetings ago. I'm working on the redesign to make it more of the visitor focus, and then to make the business side of it our source of truth. Remember, we talked about like there's all kinds of information out there. What's the correct piece? So that I'm hoping to have done in early 2026.
I think even a postcard or a wrap card that businesses can have. I think about like at Sarah's, she's had postcards in there before that I grabbed. Postcard sized things that have like a QR code, and like that's really easy for almost any business to set out, I think, and is easy for people to grab, that has QR code and quick information.
So that's an interesting, like I was really honed in on your newsletter piece, but what if it is just a piece of marketing material that size that has like the website information, the newsletter?
Yeah, the
sign
evergreen
up,
information.
like,
that
yeah,
you can
stay
print
static
1,000 of them and it's pretty
and it's out
evergreen. Yeah.
We find just putting things on the back of our doors is like game changer. And then people take pictures of it, like you don't even need the QR code.
Yep.
You just take a screenshot and there's all the information, but I mean, like.
We
Southern,
have never joined because of the flyer you let us.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
obviously that's a hard situation, but people, funniest thing, so yeah, I don't need the prints, I just need one for each back of the back of the door. Kind of like when you go to the water, you know, they have the advertisements in the salt.
Yeah, you have that social indoor, which is, they do all the bathrooms, so like community center, across the street from us, we have, that wouldn't be a terrible spot to also market it.
Mhm.
Is just people can take a quick picture from their phone and then we've got all the information.
Yeah, I mean, we have the rink side advertisement in the, at the community center, and we get a decent amount of website traffic off of that. So I think that's another thing to look at for next year. Like the, yeah.
Bathroom strategy on that?
Yeah.
But that doesn't require anything, you're already doing
Yep.
that newsletter, somebody does, and then either send the link so we can just print it off ourselves. I mean, it
Yep.
doesn't require any more work for anybody else.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what we talked about like a repository for you all as a source of truth, like where all the newsletters live, and then you can just go in and pick and choose what you've got funding for or what makes the most sense. Like you were in this month's newsletter, so maybe that's the one you print because it's got your story in it. So yeah, that's,
Yeah, I think that all your points are already made, like your best customers are the ones who are already here, so it's like taking, who's coming down here for one of you all, and then like tying them in to doing other things, and then the more they're doing everything else here, they're gonna wanna continue to patronize, they're just gonna wanna do more stuff, so. Cross advertising to yourselves, rather than just trying to focus on people outside the community and bring them in, is probably gonna generate more return on your investment.
I've definitely found from my history of meetings like this, being multiple down in Minneapolis, it's always like prices that drive these groups up,
Mhm.
right? So like, are you in a bump right now because there's so much focus on construction? How do you keep it so the group doesn't start dwindling down over the next, 2 or 3 years? We had the same thing with light rail construction and maybe State and Village Commercial Association, like, every meeting had 30 people, and as soon as that project was over, it was like, well, what's our purpose now? So like really engaging in vision, kind of strategy talks, and what we're focused on to keep driving that here and missing out is just super crucial. Otherwise, people are like, why am I doing it? And I did that last month. I missed last month, and I was like, shoot, I was supposed to be there. That's where I get my information. So it is, they do have that drive already. I think it's just getting more people to be aware of, what the conversations here are. And a lot of that comes from those newsletters.
And you all are the best messengers if you interact with other business. Yeah, I make time for that, you're missing out if you're not there.
all right, well, we have a lot of work to do.
Thank you for. Yeah. So.